All right, this is the second half of the quiz review for graphing quadratics. And so here we go. I'm on the second page here, which starts off with number 4. And so what I want to first do is identify our a and b and c. And I have for my a -1x squared. The sign is important, positive or negative, so make sure you record that down. And then I have for my b a +4, and notice how there's no numbers, so we could say +0. Now sometimes you'll have no b, sometimes you'll have no c, but you have to have at least an a because you have to have a square term, which makes it a quadratic. And when I see a negative, that's going to tell you that our graph is going to open down. So it's going to open like this. We're going to have a max at the top of that picture. The first thing I'm going to do is find our axis of symmetry, and it's from this function, opposite b over 2a. You could call it a formula. And so what I'm going to do is use those numbers that we got from our quadratic. So opposite of +4 would be -4. And double my a of -1 is going to be -4 divided by -2, which is going to get me +2. So I know my vertex is going to be at 2, a number, because my vertex has to land on that axis of symmetry. So I know it's going to be somewhere on this vertical line here. So now what I'm going to do is find my y value of my vertex by plugging the 2 in for the x. So I get opposite of 2 squared. You got to do the square before you do the negative. And then +8 here. Opposite of 4 + 8, or -4 + 8, is going to be 4. So I'm going to plot that vertex here at 4. And now what I'm going to do is use my pattern of change to help me out, but you can definitely use a table of values. Here I have the table ready to go, and I like to put my vertex right in the middle of that. So vertex was 2, 4. So I'm going to do a value to the right and to the right again. And from 2, I know it's gonna be symmetric, so I'm gonna go 2 to the right and 2 to the left so I can get that picture. So 1 and 0. And then what you do is you just plug those numbers in for your x, and I'll show you how to do that quickly on the calculator. And opposite, so I need my negative sign, not minus. The negative sign is down here underneath your 3. Now since I'm substituting in a value for x, I want to make sure that I use parentheses. So 0 is what I'm plugging in for my x, and then I'm going to square that, plus the number 4 times what I'm going to plug in for x, so make sure that also goes in parentheses, and hit enter, and you get your number. Now I can go back, and I can rewrite over my 0 the number 1, because I'm going to substitute 1 in next, and I get 3. Now knowing this is supposed to be symmetric, I should have the same values here, 1 away from the vertex on either side, and then 2 away from the vertex on either side. So I'm going to rewrite over my 1. I'm going to put the number 3 in here and here. And notice how I get the same thing. Those should be symmetric. And then again, plugging in 4. And I get 0. And so now I'm going to plot those points. So out 1, down 1. Out 2, down 4. And out 3, if you know your pattern, and I've done this on a few other videos, since this was negative and we said it was going to go down, you go down your squares. Down 1, square of this would be 4, square of this would be 9, and 16. So I'm going to do one more. Out 3, down 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's going to go the same one out from there. Wider as you go down, and there's your picture. So knowing the pattern of change can actually help make your graph go by just slightly quicker. Okay, so here we go. Also, you could have just plugged in 5 and gotten -5, and that's how I got that point right there. Okay, so here we go, number 5. This is in factored form, and how I do these is just slightly different than standard form because I don't have opposite b over 2a the way this is written. But instead, I can find my roots very easily by setting each factor equal to 0 and then solving. and x will equal 3. So 2 x-intercepts, one at 7 and one at 3. And what I'm going to do is find the middle. So you can just count if you want. I know the middle here is going to be 5. Or you can actually do algebra here. 7 plus 3, find the average of those two numbers. 10 and half would get you 5. So either way, just kind of confirming that 5 is in the middle. And that's where my axis of symmetry is going to be. And now what I'm going to do is plug the number 5 into my function to get the y value of my vertex. 5 minus 7 is negative 2. 5 minus 3 is positive 2, and 2 and negative 2 multiplied together makes negative 4. So at 5, negative 4 is going to be my vertex. And 1x and 1x means my a is equal to 1. So we're going to go out 1, up, because it's positive 1. Out 2, up 4. Out 3, up 9. Out 4, up 16 from the vertex. So over 1, up 1 in each direction. Over 2, up 1, 2, 3, 4. That checks out. Over 3, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because over 3 would get us up 9. And then same over here, out 1 more and up 9. There's our parabola. Now, standard form would be if I actually multiplied those together. So let's multiply here. Y equals x minus 7, x minus 3. X times x will get us x squared. X times negative 3 is minus 3x. Negative 7 times x is negative 7x. And negative 7 times negative 3 is positive 21. So here's my function, x squared. Now these two terms will combine to make negative 10x and then plus 21. This graph and this graph are identical because one's just in factored form and one's in standard form, but they represent the same function. Okay, I have 2 left for this video, and then we're all done reviewing before our potential quiz here. Write the function in standard form and then also factored form. Factored form is going to be easiest because of the zeros. The zeros help you find your factors. So if x, the 0, is equal to negative 2, and x, our intercept here, is equal to positive 4, to get your factors, you want your number back over with your x. So my factor would be an x with a positive 2. And if I subtract 4 over here, with my x, I'd have a factor of negative 4. So notice how your zeros, your x-intercepts, your roots, your solutions, always have opposite signs as your factors. Because here x equals negative 2, but the factor would be the number paired next to x. So if I paired x plus 2 equal to 0, I'd get a solution of negative 2. So notice how those are opposite signs. Now to get my standard form, all I need to do is multiply my 2 factors together. So I have x plus 2, x minus 4. X times x will get us x squared. X times negative 4 is minus 4x. 2 times x is plus 2x, and 2 times negative 4 is minus 8. Combine together your 2 middle terms, and you got your function. Now, what I didn't mention is sometimes you might have a number in the front, an a that's not 1. And in fact, we've graphed some where our a wasn't 1 in a previous video. Actually, I'll show you. Here's my paper right here because I just did the video. You can solve for that a to find out if your a is not 1. And I want to show you that I know our a is 1 here because of our pattern on our graph. From the vertex, if I go out 1, I go up 1, and that's a point on my grid. And out 2, if I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a point on our grid. And out 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If my pattern really is out 1, 2, 3, and we went up 1, 4, 9, I know that my a had to be 1 because my original pattern didn't get changed. And so that's something you want to consider, because in other classes they might alter your a. And what I would tell you is pick a point on your grid, like that you know is a point, perhaps the vertex, this vertex is 1, -9, I would sub this in for your factors. So if you had y equals x plus 2 and x minus 4, in the future you may need to plug in -9 here, and you may need to plug in 1 for your x, and you can solve for your a. You can solve for what your a would be. And here, I know my a is going to come out to be 1 actually. Let's do it just for confirmation, but -9 should equal a times 3 times -3. -9 should equal a times -9. A is 1. And so I know I didn't need to have a different a than normal, meaning my x squared is just going to be 1x squared here. Likewise for the same thing for the next picture, just kind of checking. I noticed that this graph opens down, out 1, down 1, out 2, down 1, 2, 3, 4, out 3, down 9 as I'm counting, and then out 4, down 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I know that my a is going to equal -1 because this time it's opening downward. So just kind of something to think about. Factored form comes from your zeros, and our zeros were in between 4 and 6 negative here, so x equaled -5. And it looks like x was equal to 1. So your factors are going to have opposite signs as your zeros. And that is our function. And then to get your standard form, all you need to do is multiply these together. I've done a lot of the distributive methods, so I'll show you one where I multiply my box. And an x and a -1. X times x is x squared. X times 5 is 5x. X times -1 is -x. And 5 times -1 is -5. Combine your like terms in the middle. And I have 4x and then -5. And that would be your standard form for your picture.